So welcome along to our very first podcast. I hope it's going to be a number of podcasts that we'll be doing. This is the first one, and there was only really one place to start off with, one person to start off with, and that was the inspiration behind us all being on the fabulous Frank Black Pixies Facebook group and the offspin of the Friends of Pixies and its various other forms that it's taken, a film club and different things like that as well. But delighted to be joined by Pixie White,
Hello.
or Pixie Mum, as you often are
That was a nice
referred to.
introduction. You're going to give me a big head, making me out to be something special.
Well, you've certainly been the inspiration behind something very, very special. I bet you can't really believe it, can you?
No, it's brilliant, and you sound so professional as well, by the way.
Oh, bless you.
Which is probably a good job, isn't it?
Well, I've been doing work like this for about 20 odd years, off and on, mainly just gabbling on about football. But this is a bit of a deviation for me. I've done some local radio work and things like that.
It obviously comes very naturally.
Well, sometimes, not always. Sometimes I still get a bit tongue-tied and things like that as well. But if I know what I'm talking about, or I'm talking to a friendly face like yours, and it's a lot easier.
It is easy when you know what you're talking about. Which is
I'm gonna be a bit nasty now, then put you on the spot. Do you know how many members you've got in the group?
Oh my goodness, I haven't checked for a while. I made a mental note to check last night because I was thinking about it. I thought, bloody hell, we've got to be 4 years old this month, haven't we?
Okay. I can't honestly remember. I don't even remember joining, which is terrible for me to say that.
Because I moved down to Cornwall in December. Well, it'll be 5 years ago this December, and I know it was September that I set up the group. So we got to be heading
the following September.
Yeah, the following September.
So you set it up after you moved to Cornwall.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
So we've got to be. I might be wrong. Somebody might correct me. I have got a brain like cotton wool, and
well, I had a little look last night. We've have
about 5,000 members now, haven't we?
Last time I looked, I think was probably about a year ago. I think I probably looked last time was when we came down to Plymouth and saw Pixies in Plymouth. And I think it was about 3,500, 4,000 then. I looked last night, 6,622.
Wow.
I know. That is amazing, isn't it? It really is.
What I love is that I love everybody, but I really love all the originals that have been there from the very beginning. I've got a especially soft spot for them. But then we do have the newer members that come in and they just throw themselves completely into it, don't they? And they just become a member of the fam, as we call it.
Yeah.
Not the firm, the fam. Although, some would argue about that probably, but I don't know. That's what I like about it. It's open to all, isn't it? And we are accepting of everybody, and that's what music's about, not just our group. That's why music is so important, because it doesn't matter what you look like, it doesn't matter who you worship, it doesn't matter who you vote for, it doesn't matter who you love. It's for everybody, isn't it? And that's what
Absolutely.
I love about it, because that's what I like to think I'm about in life. I don't judge, and coming from a counselling background, and that's what I like about the group. That's what it's all about.
No, absolutely. I think with, certainly with the internet and social media as well, it's very easy for any of these groups to get quite toxic.
That's why
people to fall out in that. But there doesn't seem to be, one or two little incidents that you see, but you're always going to get that.
Dr. Martin boot comes out quite quickly, doesn't it? But we're all straight on it, so.
Yeah, I'm sure there's stuff that goes on in the background with the moderators and yourself as well. But it just does seem like a really, really lovely community, doesn't it? And it's lovely that some of the members of the band are involved as well as members of the group and that. So what was your original inspiration? Because I'm sure obviously Pixies are one of your favorite, if not your favorite group. But you could have set up any number of Facebook groups like music that you like.
Where do I start? I touched upon this in the podcast in Vegas, and to cut a long story short, I was in an unhappy marriage. He buggered off and left me with the children, but it was quite an oppressive marriage, so I didn't even well, I wasn't even who I wanted to be, and I didn't even have. I had a massive love for music. I have all my life, but I didn't even have a music collection, nothing.
Oh, wow.
And so when he left, and I decided, I allowed myself a week to feel sorry for myself, and then I thought,
Just a
no, I'm
week.
gonna. Well, when you've got children, you've got to get on with it.
I guess so. I guess so. Yeah.
So that was when I decided to go back to college and become a counsellor. And it wasn't long after that I ended up with a really good placement with a charity that rehabilitates offenders up in Chester. So I had a placement as a counsellor with them, and then very soon after they offered me a job as a support worker in their supported accommodation. So I had 2 different roles within this charity, and I started earning money for the first time in years since before I'd got married. And this was when I started doing the things I wanted to do, and I started building up my music collection again. And I was massively into Foo Fighters at the time, in a massive way.
Yeah.
And many of the Queens of the Stone Age have always been a massive fan. And I had the Wave of Mutilation CD when that came out, because I constantly had was it MTV2 and Kerrang and Q on the music channels, constantly had it. My boys grew up with fantastic taste in music, down to me, because we just had it on 24 hours and they remember it well.
Yeah.
And so I used to make many trips to HMV regularly, payday, I'd be straight there. And as I was building up my CD collection, I had all the albums I wanted, and all the Nirvana ones. I was massively into Nirvana too.
Yeah.
And I got friendly with a guy who works in HMV, and I said, look, I've got this and I've got that. What do you suggest that I listen to that's different but along the same lines, knowing what I like? And he said, well, have you got any Pixies? And I was like, well, I have got one of their CDs, but he put one on, and the introduction came on, and I only had to hear the first couple of bars, and that was it. I was sold. So I bought all their albums, and I couldn't stop playing them, and I loved them just as much as I loved the other bands. And obviously, the more you learn about them, the more you have respect for them, because of, especially when you find out what a big influence they are to all your favourite bands, and most of your favourite bands wouldn't be where they were without their influence as well.
Yeah.
And they do seem such ordinary, down-to-earth guys, as a lot of people say, but they're just massive, and they were so underrated, and it wasn't. I think the UK took them to their hearts more than America did at the time.
Yes.
And when they made their comeback in 2003, it seemed to just blow up, didn't it? And everybody wanted more and more and more. So I don't think you had any choice really, but to start doing something about it, something more about it.
So what year are we sort of talking about then, when you first sort of discovered them?
That'd be 2004, 2005.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
You're a lot younger than me.
Oh, really?
A lot younger. Yeah, I was there. First time I saw them was '89 at Glastonbury.
Right.
Yeah.
What was I doing in '89? Yeah, so I was just in school.
Barely out of nappies.
Well, that was around the time I was stomping around in my Dr. Martens into Scar, actually. Everyone else was in like me 17 and all the boy bands, and I was stomping around in my Dr. Martens.
Yeah.
I was into Madness and the Specials and Selector, and
yeah.
I've always liked my rock.
Right.
But jump forward to, about 4 years ago, I was on. Oh, that was it. I became a big fan of Baxter Dury.
Okay.
I love his music.
Son of Ian Dury.
Yeah, Son of Ian Dury.
Yeah.
And he posted up a link on Facebook. I did one of those old request friends. He accepted. I was like, oh, you know how you are. And he posted up a link that he was doing a radio interview. I forget on what radio channel. I think it was some internet channel, and he was interviewing Charles. So I was excited about that, because I've always been intrigued. And by then, I discovered I was a late comer to the Catholics and his solo work, but I had started getting into it by then, and I was really loving. When you discover the best feeling in the world is when you discover a band or an artist and you listen to one album and you're like, oh my God, where have I been? And then you start devouring all their work,
absolutely.
going back. And that was the stage I was at the time. I was like, this guy's phenomenal. So I was excited to hear this interview, and I listened to it. And I was a bit naughty and cheeky, and I requested Charles on Facebook after. And he accepted. I was like, oh my God, didn't come down for days.
Some of us have to wait months for him to accept us.
Well, I got this message out of the blue from him.
Right.
And it was something simple like, so we're in the world of Facebook, huh? With a smiley face. And I was just staring at it for about 5 minutes. And I was like, oh my God.
He wasn't hitting on you, was he?
No, but the thing is, it's what do you do then? Because by then I knew, obviously he's an intelligent guy, and you don't want to be a daft fan. Be, oh my God, I love you, do you? You don't want to be like that. You want to play it cool, but then, I don't know. But I ended up saying, oh my God. I said, you made my day, how are you? But I didn't hear back again, but that's kind of what he's like, isn't it? And I think he is appreciative of his fans, and he does like to, you know, because you see evidence of it. When I did research, when I started the group research for links put up and photos and videos, and it did become apparent that he did like to give little snippets to fans, and you know, he just seems a nice kind of guy like that. But anyway, so it was around that time I joined the Black and the Catholics Facebook group, and I'd been in there a while, and then somebody put a post up on the page saying, is there a decent Pixies fan group anywhere on Facebook, because I can't find one. So I said, why don't we start one? And can't remember what happened after that. I think he kind of disappeared, and that got the old cogs going, and I thought, oh, I'll just start one. And I really didn't think anything had come of it. I invited lots of my friends, and some of them accepted, some didn't. And I just thought, well, this is going to be nice, but obviously it's going to fade away, and I'm going to be a little bit embarrassed because nobody's interested. And then it just started growing and growing and growing and growing. And yeah, I mean, I was absolutely amazed when it got to 200. I thought, well, bloody hell, that's good, isn't it? And then more and more and more and more. And we started having
6,622.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then I had to ask someone to help me admin the page as it started getting bigger. And then I got that catfish, do you remember? Remember Maxwell K?
Yeah.
So it was this guy.
Yeah.
He offered to help me admin it, and he was really nice and really good, and everybody on the page loved him, and then he had this car crash and died. Right. He put this post up, I think it was like the day before Christmas Eve, I'm going off to see my mum, hit me with your playlists. And then I got this message from this other cat, what turned out to be catfish. Oh, I'm sorry, Maxwell had a crash and died. I was like, oh my God. And then obviously I had to announce it to the page.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, oh, and putting up dedications to this poor Maxwell, and you know, and we'll miss your brother, and then it just, and it was Kate Hester.
Yeah.
She's a bit more, see, I'm naive, and she's you know,
she's a smart cookie.
Yeah. So
I'd be naive like that as well.
I think it was Ryan she was chatting to, and she was like, are you sure this guy's for real? Because this all seems a bit sus because I can't find anything in the news, or...
Yeah.
So he inboxed me. I ended up chatting to him and chatting to her, and I was like, oh my God, that person wasn't even real, and I felt a real fool. So then Ryan offered to help me, and then the group got bigger and bigger and bigger again, and by then Jason had joined, and he was an absolute star, his poster access, so we didn't even have to think about who we wanted to help us. And yeah, we definitely made the right choice because he's just fantastic. He's more fantastic than me. He does more. Yeah, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have the teas. Group tea to look forward to, because I kept having people suggesting, and I couldn't organise a visit in a brewery, could I? I'm running a business and I have no idea how I'm doing it. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing in life. I'm just winging it. I pretend I'm an adult.
You're like the elegant swan, are you? All serene on top, and then
I'm honestly
flapping
just
underneath the water.
If it was legal, I'd make a good stone. I put it that way. I don't even need stuff to anyway. So I kept getting requests for these group teas, and I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. I don't know who to contact, and I started looking into it. But then I think Jason offered, and it went from there. And because he already knew of World of Strange, and he'd bought T-shirts from them, and I think he knew the people who ran it. And yeah, fantastic. So I don't know where we'd be without him sometimes, because I've been quite busy recently, and he keeps things going.
One of the things that always impresses me with you, though, is that every day you post for people's birthdays, which I think is just a really lovely touch that you do that for people.
It's all, they're part of the family, aren't they? That's like the atmosphere of the group. We're like a big family. And
how do you actually come up with the videos to post? Is it just a random thing? Obviously you go on YouTube, or how do you do that?
Right, here's the thing.
Is there a big sort of scientific equation behind it?
You took it. I'm a little bit spiritual, as you know.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that.
Yeah, I read angel cards for people and this and that, and I do get a good feeling about people. So when I see it's their birthday, I'll just take a few seconds to think about it and pop something. I don't always get it smack on, but sometimes they'll say, "Oh my God, that's my favourite," and so I do try to tune in a little. I don't want to go too mystical and airy-fairy, because people already think I'm a bit potty, but but I do like to have a little think of what I
think it's really lovely. It's really endearing, I think.
Well, Jason does a really good job of letting me know whose birthday it is as well. Yeah, so I don't really know it's someone's birthday unless they're friends with me on Facebook and I get a notification. So if Jason's friends with them and I'm not, then he'll just drop me a message and say, "Hey, it's such and such's birthday," and then I'll go and choose a song.
So one of the things I want to do, and I'll do this after our meeting and I'll do it with subsequent interviews, is to try and edit in some of your favourite tracks. So I was thinking a favourite Pixies track, a favourite Frank Black track, and a favourite Frank Black and
it's like picking children, though, isn't it? It's like
well, I think I might know what your favourite Pixies track is, because I think you mentioned it before. So unless you're the type of person that it sort of fluctuates from one day to the next, I'm going to stick my neck out, and I think your favourite track is Bone Machine.
Now, I've got a real soft spot for that, because that was one of the first tracks that I actually sat up and took notice of. Yeah. So you're right there. But I would say it's normally a toss-up between Motorway and Hang Wire.
Okay.
But now we've had the new album. I don't know, it's hard to do. There's so many on the new album I really, really love.
And the album was a real sort of diversion, wasn't it, from typical what you might think of as being sort of typical Pixies tracks.
Yeah. Well, the feeling of it. It has a completely different feel to it. It feels more grown up. It feels perhaps a little bit more somber.
True.
It feels a little bit retro in that, I don't know, some of the tracks, it kind of sounds like you're watching an old 60s spy movie or something. And I thought that immediately when I was listening to the podcast, The Making of Beneath the Eerie. And when I heard Clips, that was my first thought. It's like, I don't know, the beginning of an old Michael Caine movie or something.
Yeah, I think this is My Fate is a real sort of. Yeah. You spoke about Madness. You could almost imagine Madness singing that, couldn't you?
I didn't put that connection together. Yeah, you're right, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to just drag you back. So pick a Pixies track that you'd like to you
I think
played?
it would have to be hang wire.
Hang wire.
That was
Okay.
one of my favourite to play on bass,
Right.
and it's just what if I used to put that on the way to work in the car, I couldn't help banging about it. And it's short as well, and you have to go back and
Yeah.
listen to it again, like many Pixies tracks. And I think he does that on purpose, doesn't he? With a lot of them, I think that was one of his things to do. Keep it short, leave you wanting more.
Yeah. No,
So
absolutely.
Hang Wire is one of those. Definitely love it. Absolutely love it to bits. So it's a
Okay.
feel-good song.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
but
it
then
is.
again, there's a number 13 baby as well.
Ah, I know. And
Oh
do you
my
go
goodness.
Bossanova? Do you go Doolittle, Surfer Rosa?
Bossanova is the one for me. If I had
Is
to
it?
choose one of them.
Yeah.
Oh, but mind you, it's a toss-up between that and the new one.
See, I mean, I'm Doolittle every time. Doolittle for me is pretty much the perfect album. I think I'm not a fan of Silver. I don't like Silver very much, which spoils it a little bit. But other than that, I just think Doolittle is absolutely a perfect album. Really
This is
do.
fantastic.
Yeah. So.
You know what? I'm going to change my mind and choose number 13, baby.
Are you?
No, I lied. My favourite
Okay.
one to play in bass is that because it's so simple. It is really. See, Hang Wire, I was feeling clever when I learned that. It was a little bit more complicated because a lot of Kim's bass lines are quite easy to get the hang of. But number 13, baby, it's really simple. But when you're playing that with somebody else, because obviously other members of my family play instruments, and that's been my favourite one to play together with them.
Okay.
So when one of them's on rhythm and one of them's on lead, and I'm playing that, it honestly gives me chills. I absolutely adore it. I'm so jealous of ours, I really am. My dream would be to stand up there and do number 13, baby, with them. But I'd die happy then. And it's easy enough not to go wrong, isn't it?
My lovely wife, Jordan, as everyone knows her, that is her name. She just brought me in a cup of coffee and a flapjack.
No, she's a star. Where's mine?
I'm gonna have to do more of these, aren't I? If I get a coffee and a flapjack every time. Thank you, darling. So, how long have you been playing bass for then? And is Kim your favourite bass player up until Paz? I don't go down that road.
I've got a fondness for both of them, honestly.
I
honestly have, because
well, they wouldn't be where they are now if it wasn't for Kim, would they?
I've got mixed feelings about, but
honestly, you don't feel you have to go open up that can of worms.
No. But the Pixies we know and love throughout history, they wouldn't be who they were without. I mean, her voice was it's beautiful. It's like I've often said, it's like smooth honey or something at times. And Paz has got a very similar voice. Obviously, it's very much Paz when you listen to it, but it's got that feel to it. Yep. So I was so over the moon when I put Head Carrier on for the first time and I heard her, and I thought, oh, great, they've got it right, fantastic, I'm happy.
Yeah,
she did such a good job. So I'm fond of both of them, and I have no particular bass player that I love. It was just Pixies I latched onto because I was learning, and her bass lines were quite simple.
And but distinctive though as well, aren't they? They are very distinctive, our bass lines.
Yeah. Well, they didn't need to be anything different, did they? Really, they went so well. But and the ones that I found more complicated to learn, they weren't actually that. Like Is She Weird? I found that quite complicated to get to grips with at first, but it's actually not that bad. I mean, I'm no Flea, if you compare to Nate from the Foo Fighters, he's quite a underrated bassist, and I'd be nowhere near his level ever. And there's a lot of, Queens of the Stone Age, he's bloody good, isn't he?
Mm. But, so were you playing bass before you got into Pixies then, or was were the Pixies inspiration?
I was already a fan of Pixies, so they were just the first ones I decided to get to grips with. Sure. So we're going back to 2011, I think.
Okay.
I don't pick it up, having a nail place now, I've always got stupid long nails, haven't I? And I always forget that, so I want to pick up my bass and they're absolutely no good. So I need to just chop them off and pick it up. But then my son's always got a hold of my bass at the moment. It's always tuned right down as well.
Right.
I'm just lazy. Yeah, I think that's all it boils down to, laziness.
And Pixies concerts, I think you said just before we started recording, you've been to 4?
I feel a bit of 3.
3?
I feel a little bit like I probably shouldn't be running a Pixies fan group because there's so many members who've. Sorry, I got distracted because I was outside, tripped up. Never mind. What was I talking about? I was talking
Pixies
about
concerts.
I get easily distracted. Yeah, so many of our members are like die-hard fans, and they've travelled around the world to see them. And I mean, look, there's the likes of Shane Hutchins. I mean, how many thousands of miles has he cycled? And he's, you know, people would have hats off to him. Incidentally, I passed him on the road yesterday.
Oh wow! Oh, fabulous.
He's doing the John O'Groats to Land's End, isn't he?
Yeah.
And
Is he near the end or the beginning?
He's getting there. I mean, he'll hit Land's End.
Oh, so he started at John O'Groats. Okay.
Yeah, he's done really well. Anyway, so there's the likes of him that put all that effort into following them around, and you know, there are a lot of die-hard fans, so I kind of feel a little bit of a fraud.
Yeah, but it's not easy living where you are specifically, anyway, because Cornwall is remote. And of course, if you live in America, then they often tour around America. I mean, obviously, it's vast mileage that they have to do around America. But
well, I was living in Penzance when they did the Eden project, and God, I would have loved to have gone to that. I just couldn't at the time. We had a lot going on.
Yeah.
And I'll always be gutted we missed that. Really will, because that was such an intimate venue, and I know people that went, and it was just amazing. But I'll be forever grateful that they came to our neck of the woods really well. But yeah, I'd only ever really been to this massive Foo Fighters one, and it was my friends booked it knowing what a big Foo Fighters fan I was, and it was Manchester Emirates. Yeah. And there were a lot of people there, honestly. It's like that was a baptism of fire for me. I thought I was going to die that night.
Yeah, I bet.
We queued for hours, and we found out we were in the wrong queue for our ticket, which these things happen to me. So this was last minute as the gates were opening. We looked at our tickets, and we looked, oh, we're in the wrong queue. So we went running, and we joined this other queue, but somehow, and I don't even know how it happened, we ended up at the front, and there was hardly anyone there. So we ran. Well, I ran, and I don't run for anybody. So I got to the front of the stage. Yeah. I was like, how the hell did I end up here? And Teenage Fan Club came on first. They were really good. Never seen
friends of Pixies as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they were. Well, yeah, they were supporting Foo Fighters. So
yeah.
But I ended up. There were these big crowd surges, and of course I was all new to this, so I was getting surged forwards, pushed forwards, and pushed backwards. So I spent the first, I don't know, probably even the first quarter of the concert trying to stay alive, because I thought, if I go down here, I'm dead, because I'm going to get trampled.
Yeah.
So I was half pleading with Dave, because I could see him. I was half pleading with Pete, but no, he wasn't taking any notice. Too busy playing music because he's selfish. Anyway, and then of course I needed the loo, so I was battling my way through thousands and thousands of people to go to the loos.
Yeah.
And then I don't know concert etiquette at this point, so of course nobody wants to let me back to my place, to my friends at the front, do they? And I'm saying to people, my friends are at the front, and they're like, yeah, sure, you're not coming.
That's what everyone says. Yeah.
I just literally had to battle my way through. I thought, I'm getting back to that spot I was at, not stopping me. So I did. I had to be quite tough, and I'm not a tough person, but I was that day. And
I think you're probably tougher than you think you are, but in a nice way.
Well, it depends. But,
so Pixies you've seen 3 times.
The next concert was Pixies, and that was in Brixton in London.
Yeah, and you were down the front there as well, weren't you?
I've been to 4 concerts in my life, 3 of them Pixies, and I've always been at the very front. I really don't know how it happens. Now at Brixton, I ended up battling with some bloke who was trying to shove in front of me, and I was at the bar, and he kept putting his hands in front of me and trying to prise my fingers off the bar, so I ended up digging my nails into him, elbowing him.
That's where a good set of nails comes in handy.
Yeah. But that was Liam's first concert, my son. Okay. He was a teenager at the time, and he was just, every time I looked at him, he was a gay. It was like, I don't know, something holy had happened for him, and I was so happy that his first gig not only was with me, but with Pixies. So he became a big fan. He liked them before that, but he was a big fan after that. And then the next one, of course, was Vegas.
Well, you'd never flown before.
No.
You didn't have a passport when you booked the holiday.
Yeah, again, I don't know how it happened, really.
I remember chatting to you on Messenger about it, and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. This is just... You and I were chatting on Messenger. You were just saying how crazy it all was, but you just got swept away with, again, just because of how lovely the group is. The Facebook group is.
I had no people wanted to help and get me there, but we managed in the end, of course. But that's how things in my life are. You jump in with both feet. Most of the time they work out. If they don't, never mind, you better go. And if they do, then fantastic. All my best life's adventures have been just jumping in with both feet and seeing what happens, and that was one of them. That was just an amazing experience. So we thought, sod it, just let's go for it, see what, let's book it, let's book the concerts and everything else will come. And it did, and I think it was barely by the skin of our teeth with everything working out on time. But yeah, but it was such a whirlwind as well, because obviously we weren't there very long, and there was so many people to see and so much to see, but it was lovely to meet some of the faces that I've grown to get to know, and it was a hell of an experience.
Yeah, it must have been. I've never been. I've been to America, but I've never been to Vegas. But people always say it's a real sort of sensory overload in that as well. So for you arriving there, probably feeling jet lagged and meeting lots of people that you'd only sort of spoken to online, and that it must have been quite terrifying, I imagine.
Well, I wasn't even on the planet, I've got to say. There's a couple of photos I've seen of me where I look as if I don't know what planet I'm on. That was how it was. Total jet lag, as you say, sensory overload. Vegas is probably the last place on the planet I would choose to visit, because it's not really my cup of tea. If I want a holiday, I want somewhere quiet, maybe somewhere historical, and so that was quite, it's just, that's how I describe it, no words. But all the people that I'd grown to be fond of, and it was lovely walking and seeing all these familiar faces, and it's lovely to see Mike Flynn and his lovely wife, and of course Kimball and Mandy and David and James Steely, and just there's so many people there, Tom Rose. Just trying to think. I don't want to miss anybody out, but
it's all right. Don't worry. It's not an Oscars acceptance speech.
Yeah, but I don't like to offend people.
I know you don't. So.
I remember it took me days to get over the fact that I thought I might have offended Tom Rose, because I forgot his name. I couldn't think what his name was. And everyone was like, well, don't be stupid. Obviously, you're not going to remember everybody's name. But it's like, no, I feel really bad about it. I just don't like offending people. But then, of course, then we found out they were coming down here to Plymouth. It's like,
I know.
God. So that was just amazing. So we didn't have to travel. And of course, we had the lovely Kate and Ryan to stay.
You did.
So I was able to show them around.
Because I know they looked after you, didn't they, very well when you were over in the States?
Right. Yeah. They put us up for the night, and we went on a bit of a road trip with them, and amazing.
And
so each one has been an amazing experience for different reasons.
Yeah, and
we saw you at the last one.
Sorry,
we saw you at the last.
We did.
One.
You did. Yeah. Well, you've been up and come here, haven't you? And met with Jordan and I a couple of years ago.
Made us a nice meal, didn't you? That was nice. And we still haven't returned the favour.
Oh, sometime we'll do it sometime.
I'll bring some chips.
When the world's not quite as strange as it is at the moment.
So. It is a bit odd, isn't it, at the moment? Still.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'm going to ask you now for your favourite Frank Black as a solo artist track. Have you got all his solo albums, or is there any? Because I whilst you think about this, I got the first two. I got Frank Black and then Teenager of the Year, and then I did also get the third one, and the name's just escaped me. The Cult of Ray. But I don't know what it is. I just cannot get past the front cover, that picture on the front cover. I've actually sort of had nightmares about it. That figure has been, and seriously? So I've just, seriously. So I've never actually, not for a long time, but I've never really sort of taken to that album. And after that, I sort of dropped him really as a solo artist, and I'd never really been into the Catholics either. So I'm interested to know, again, I mean, just out of Teenager of the Year and Frank Black, those two albums, so many brilliant tracks. It's hard to choose one, but have a go.
I think I've got a real soft spot for the Frank Black album.
Yeah. I know you like. I heard Ramona Sing, didn't you? I think
that would be the one I would probably choose.
Yeah.
Fu Manchu's fun though, isn't it?
It is.
Fun.
Yeah.
But I loved the Scott Pilgrim film, and I loved all the soundtrack of that. So I'm really fond of I Heard Ramona Sing. I think it's a lovely song, I really do, and I love singing along to it.
Mm-hmm.
I am a massive fan of the Catholics. Honestly, I think they're fantastic. So yeah, I would probably choose I Heard Ramona Sing for Frank's solo work, and for Catholics, oh my goodness, it is a toss-up between Dog in the Sand or Fields of Marigold.
Fields of Marigold. Okay.
I really love that one.
Okay.
When I die, if I was to have a funeral, which I've told everybody not to, chuck me in the sea at Penzance and I've done with it and go and have a party. I'm happy with that, honestly. But at the party, play Fields of Marigold, and that's my goodbye. I just love that song. But then Dog in the Sand, I've said many, many times on the group, that's like a big warm hug. If you need a hug and no one's there, stick Dog in the Sand on. What a beautiful, and the lyrics, you know. So
okay. So I'll try and use my editing skills and get those into this podcast, and so we can listen to those as well. So you've spoken about Cornwall places, Penzance, and are you in Launceston or Lanson? Are you a proper Cornish?
The locals call it Lanson, don't they?
The locals call it Lanson.
Or if you're American, it's Launceston.
And if you're Australian, they've got one.
They have in Tasmania.
Launceston, they call it.
And we often get people posting in our local group for things that have nothing even to do with this country, and we have to direct them to the right one.
Okay.
But, we're kind of in the gateway to Cornwall. We're North Cornwall, so I adore all of Cornwall. I've had a lifelong love affair with the place, and I always.
Did you used to come down for holidays and things like that? Was that your
grandparents lived down here, and they owned this proper old-fashioned whitewashed post office and shop in the middle of this village called Harrow Barrow.
Right.
And I loved going to stay with them. I mean, I had an unhappy childhood, long story, but when I used to come down to stay with them, I was safe and I was happy, and I'd wander around all the country lanes exploring. I remember once I accidentally grabbed hold of an electric fence and never did that again. And they'd give me sweets out the shop, and it was amazing when they take me for trips to the beach. And there's just, you've got everything here. You've got the moors, you know, like Heathcliff, and you know, proper where Jamaica Inn is, and you know, you've got beautiful beaches. You've got the rugged beaches where you could imagine the pirates and smugglers. And you know how I love pirates.
Oh, you do like a pirate and a mermaid as well. You like a mermaid, don't you?
I do like a bit of a mermaid. But then there's the other beaches that are further west Cornwall, and you could honestly be abroad, height of summer. They're like something from the Mediterranean. So you've got everything here. It's a proper land of myth and legend. We've got Pixies, well, we call them Pixies.
Yeah.
You know, we've got stories of giants. You know, the giant that supposedly built St. Michael's Mount, which is just that's like something out of a fairy tale. I've been there. And you know, we've got Merlin, haven't we, and King Arthur.
Yes,
and, I just feel so at home here. And
Tintagel is beautiful, isn't it?
And Boscastle, and there's so many, you know, like the Mousel cat that I enjoyed reading on the page. You know, Mousel's beautiful. It looks just like it does in the book, and it's just amazing. And I had a whale of a time showing Ryan and Kate round and introducing them to our foods, our pasties and our green teas. And there's nothing I don't like about Cornwall. I just feel like I don't know whether I was here in a past life or what, but it is
great. I mean, I know I tease you, and I've teased you over the years.
We have this little bit thing going on, don't we?
I've tried to back away from that because I was starting to bore myself really over that. But I'm a proud Devonian, and I love Devon as well. But you know, neighbouring.
I think everybody has a certain place, whether it's in a different country or in their, you know, everybody has a place where they feel more connected, and and that's where they're happy when they're at this place. And
Yeah.
not everybody's in a position where they're able to move and stay there for life. I mean, I know many people who'd give their right arm to move to where makes them happy, and they're not in a position to be able to do that. So I feel incredibly lucky.
And you moved your husband down as well, or aunt moved down with you? Were you married before you moved down, or did you?
We were.
Yeah.
I was still living
Because
in
aunt's
Chester.
from Birmingham, is that right?
From Birmingham.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not Birmingham, Alabama.
No.
Birmingham. Yeah, he's a boy.
West Midlands.
Yeah, like Peaky Blinders, Birmingham. Yeah, so we met playing Scrabble.
Okay. Yeah. Good old Facebook again.
I was a little bit embarrassed about that at first. I didn't tell many people, but now it's just like everybody meets online, and this is no big deal. But yeah, at the time, I was single, very happy, having a great time at work with my friends and taking my boys out on day trips, and so everything was absolutely perfect. I was really happy, and I think when you're happy with yourself and happy in your own company, I think that's when things work. So you don't really have to be with somebody, and that's the stage I was at. Anyway, so Facebook had this little Scrabble feature, and you could play online with strangers. The computer paired you up with people, and it threw me and Ant together. Didn't bother with the little chat box for quite a while, and then we'd had a few games, and they put in the chat box "good luck," and I put "good luck," and I don't think we chatted again for a while. And then just all of a sudden we started chatting, and then we started realising that we had lots in common, and it went from there. And then I was having this garden party thing for some of my friends, and I bit the bullet and invited him. And honestly, it was like we'd known each other all our lives. We just clicked straight. And I've never had that before, so that was nice. And I found out that he liked the same music as me, so that was it. Win-win.
A win-win.
And he played guitar, so there wasn't much more, pretty perfect. So and then he doesn't care where he is. The family's where his home is, so he's one of these. As long as everybody else is happy, he's happy. Kind of person he is. So he knew how much coming back to Cornwall meant to me, so we made it happen. So
fabulous. And you've got your nail bar, which we can all see behind you. A new venture for you.
You can see a little bit of it. Yeah, that's amazing. I don't even know how I ended up here either, because I was a counsellor. Last time I looked, I was working with offenders, and things just happen, don't they?
Yeah, no, they do.
Everything's great. And I do have a playlist for my salon, and it does have the odd Frank Black or Catholics or Pixies track snuck in there, so I do subject people to it. But when you're your own boss, that's what you can do, isn't it?
No, absolutely. Well, Pixie, it's been absolutely lovely talking to you this morning. I won't take up any more of your time, and I'll get to work on editing this and hopefully get it up online pretty quickly. I was really, really pleased actually when I put that message up in the friends group that a lot of people are happy to come along and chat to me as well. So hopefully this is the first of many, and we can all get to know each other a little bit better. But thank you very much for your time. Lovely to see your smiling face. And
have a good day. Love to Jordan. And
thank you. Hopefully next time I see you, we can have a proper hug.
Yeah, hopefully.
I think we're all missing out on being able to hug friends and family, aren't we? Missing out on that at the moment, unfortunately. All right. You take care. And thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.